Hello everyone, my name's Zbricks and welcome back to the Zbricks Show. My name's Zach, I'll be your host, and tonight I'm going to be talking to Brick Hive. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, hi, my name is Brick Hive, and I have a channel called Brick Hive. I've been doing it now about a year and a half, and it's been a great experience. I've really found a great community of people to experience these Lego moments with, getting new sets and Lego news, Lego rumors, and just, all the stuff that goes on. And my channel has kind of morphed over time since I started, and I continue to get better and strive to do better with it. But I really started to kind of focus more heavily on like stop motion stuff. So I've got a couple videos out, but I'm still new at it. But yeah, that's what what my main focus is at the moment, even though I do like little other videos and live streams and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. So, as per usual, his YouTube and Instagram will be linked in the description, so you can go check both of those out and subscribe and follow and whatever else there is. I don't know what else there is, but whatever there is, you can do it. And check out his content. It's pretty great. So as per usual, we're going to start with a few small, easy starter questions. So, when did you start building with Lego, and what were some of your first sets?
Well, I first started when I was very young, as I'm sure a lot of us were. I don't remember what my first set would have been per se, back when I was younger. Now, I did go through a long period of Dark Ages, so I do remember when I came out of my Dark Ages, the first set that I got was one of the Star Wars. It was a planet set. It was like a planet. You open it up, and then it had like a little build with a little minifigure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife actually got me one of those, and because I've always been a Star Wars fan, and I've always loved the ships that are in Star Wars. Not just Star Wars, but just I love Star Wars. So, so I started getting some pretty easy models that I was building. Like I got a pretty easy one of the Millennium Falcon and just a couple others. And I don't know what exactly happened with it. I don't know if she just saw the Lego set and Star Wars and the ships and the planet and just put two and two together and just got one. And then once she got one, then I wanted to get more of them. And then that was where it started to have that snowball effect where I couldn't really stop after that. So, but that's what my first set was that pulled me out of the Dark Ages stuff. So.
That's interesting. I haven't heard much about those little planets and ages. I think those they're interesting.
A long time. And then some of them we didn't even get, I think.
Oh no, there were some that they were only in like Europe, I think, or somewhere. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when I was in lower school, those were like all the rage. Like the kids on the playground would like bring them in their backpacks and stuff.
They're great little sets.
Yeah,
I mean, you get a planet that it came with that little attachment thing, so you could actually hang it like from a string or something like that. Then you get a little ship with the stand, and then you get a minifigure. I mean, they were great.
Sometimes they were rare minifigs too. I mean, they had like Sebulba was one of them.
Yeah, which one?
I said Sebulba, the one in the Potter. Yeah,
I've got Sebulba. That's one of the
That's a great minifigure to have. So
yeah, it really is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great sets.
Star Wars wasn't like one of the first themes I was into, but I remember, I think some of like my first stuff was, I don't remember what came first. I had like a Grievous Starfighter. It wasn't like the original, because I'm not old enough to have had the original, but there was, I don't know their names. It came with like one of the Mon Calamari, I think is their names.
Mm-hmm.
So it came with one of them, and then I got some of the 10-year anniversary sets too. But those were some of my first Star Wars, and those were great sets back then. They used to make some really great stuff.
That were in my Dark Ages, so I missed out on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I remember I got the it was the Big Battle of Endor. It's definitely one of the. I am so ashamed of myself for taking it apart. It's probably my favorite Star Wars set ever. It's just a great build overall, and it's just a really fun display piece if you can set it up right. But
yeah,
I had a lot of great memories of Lego Star Wars when I was younger.
Yeah, it's definitely a big staple part of, you know, the whole Lego themes, you know what I mean?
So I was going to ask you what your favorite Lego theme was, and I'm starting to think it's Star Wars now, but is there any other Lego themes you're really interested in?
Oh, definitely a lot. And that's been the biggest problem, actually, is because I like too many Lego themes, and I can't seem to just stick with one or even two or three. So when I first came out of my dark ages, Star Wars was the, you know, the big thing that I was in. That was really all I was kind of focused on, honestly. And then I started watching, well, I found out about the YouTube community. So once I started watching a lot of YouTubers, I started seeing a lot of the city builders. And once I started seeing these cities that all these YouTubers were building, I was like, oh gosh, I gotta do that. I gotta have a city. So slowly I started getting into the city creator, you know, modulars. Mrs. Hive, she basically got me the bulk of the ones I have for birthdays and Christmases and stuff like that. You know, I don't know how much she paid for them, but, you know, if we all know how much they are once they're... Now, granted, this was still even a few years ago, so they weren't as much then as they are now. But, yeah, so the creator stuff. So I started laying out the city. And, yeah, I love Harry Potter. So I started getting, you know, started collecting the Harry Potter stuff. I've collected comic books, you know, since I was a little kid. So Marvel, DC stuff, you know. And not every single one, but a lot of them. Then I really started getting into the cars, so I started getting like the creator expert cars, you know, the Volkswagen bus and the James Bond car and yada yada yada. I'm not a huge fan of Technic stuff, so I mean I got the Batmobile, which is kind of a Technic vehicle in a way because of the way it's built. It's just much smoother. But I bought the Lamborghini Scion as a kind of a test run. And I don't really plan on getting any more Technic stuff. I mean, even though they're great in their own right, it's just not my bag. But, yeah, if I wasn't collecting all that stuff, I would definitely collect Ninjago, because Ninjago puts out wonderful sets, amazing minifigures. You know, there's so many. Like, I even, like, once in a while, I'll get something, like, I don't know. Yeah, like, every once in a while I'll get, like, a friend set. I'm just trying to see if I can see something like, that I might get, but, like...
I'm seeing a bunch of different themes in your background. I was just kind of glancing around, and there's just a wide variety of stuff going on.
You know, I love brickheads. You know, it's just... So, there's so many different themes. The problem is, like I said, it's trying to... you gotta pick and choose sometimes,
yeah.
You know? And, of course, idea sets, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the list goes on and on. I think the only thing I haven't really collected anything of is... Because I collected even a couple of the Mario sets, but I've never got a chance to collect any of the Elves stuff.
No. Did anyone really?
Well, and I didn't like any of that stuff. The thing about the Elf stuff that always I did look at was because I like my forest, so I knew there was a lot of trees. Like, I'll buy some sets just if it's got cool trees in it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But besides that, and I don't click, like, dots, you know, but anything else, I think I've dabbled in just at least about everything else. At least one set, yeah.
I think that's about me, too. I have a lot of varying interests. Ninjago is my main one. It's getting to the point, though, where it's like, it's hard to just keep on buying Lego, because I'm trying to start putting money towards more important things. But, Ninjago is definitely what I've stuck around with for the longest time. I don't know if you know, but it's kind of just I don't know if it's a meme at this point, but I'm like the only Chima fan besides Butt Chop that I know. So, I love Chima. I love the show. I love the sets.
I don't hate Chima. Chima's one of those things that it's below Ninjago for me, but like, if I didn't have all this other stuff I was collecting, I would definitely, I'd be getting Chima stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool stuff. It's just, you know, like I said, you can only collect so much, so eventually, and even Ninjago, I mean, I have Ninjago stuff, you know, there's no doubt about that. Yeah. And then, of course, non-Lego related, you know, I'll buy the occasional Funko Pop, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I see some of those in the background, too.
So,
You just got everything back there. You got posters, the Funko Pops, the modulars. I see the Star Wars ships.
yeah, it's taken me a while to get to this point, and of course a lot of money, but I work pretty hard, so you gotta work hard, you can play hard.
Yeah. What I say to people about Chima is they always, not always, but there's some people that have an appreciation for it. But what I say to the people that really dislike it is, if you build mocks, if you like interesting colors for parts, you have to at least appreciate that with Lego Chima, you got so many great Lego colors and tons of parts in them. Like the greens and the yellows for the crocodiles and lions, and there was such an abundance of those parts. And it's insane to look at it and say, it wasn't good for mocks.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like with other stuff. I mean, like, for instance, I always joke around about, like, how much of a Star Wars fan I am. And, of course, Star Wars is super popular, but I know plenty of people, they don't hate Star Wars. They don't like it. They're not into it, you know what I mean? So, and it's just like with Chima. I mean, a lot of it just comes down to opinions, you know what I mean? It's not like any of it's facts. It's just what people think about something, But, yeah, man, I mean, it's all good in its own right. Anyways, so.
I think that most Lego themes are good in their own way. There are very few duds from, I think, like, the past, since, like, the modern Lego we know, there's very few themes that I don't respect in some way. I think they're all pretty good they're all good for some audience, and they all have their good points.
Yeah, I mean, and if enough people don't like it, they just won't sell it anymore.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, So.
Yeah. People hate on Ninjago on Instagram and stuff that I see, and it's like, it's 10 years old, so...
Well, the funny thing about that, and who knows what time will tell in the future, you know what I mean? But I remember when Monkey Kid came out, everybody ripping on Ninjago, saying Monkey Kid was going to take him out and everything, and look... I ain't seen a whole lot come out with Monkey Kid. I know it's still a new theme or whatever, but Ninjago still going strong.
You know what I said? Chima didn't kill it. Nexo Knights didn't kill it. Monkey Kid's not going to kill it either. Monkey Kid's not even in Walmart, so there's no chance it's killing it.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, who knows what happened in the future, but it didn't make any kind of impact as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? As far as that's concerned with Ninjago, So yeah.
I heard Ninjago's. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have a show still going, but I've heard the show's confirmed for a few more years, so there's nothing to worry about with Ninjago being canceled. As long as the show goes on, they'll make sets. As long as the sets go on, they'll make a show. So, what do you think of Lego creating smaller and new Star Wars sets?
I personally, my overall feeling is I don't like it. Now, I'm always subject to change my opinion, because obviously, even though I've seen some reviews on the set, I haven't actually seen one up close in person. Here's my problem that I have with it. It feels like, and I say this prematurely because obviously this just started, but it feels like they're trying to create a wedge with sets and make them either more simple or more complex. Nothing really no middle ground, you know what I mean? So you're going to get a TIE Fighter or an X-Wing, so to speak, you know what I mean, for a cheaper price, but obviously it's not as good as a set. Now, for the price, I think it's a good value buy. I won't deny that at all. But it just, I guess maybe I'm being selfish about it because I don't want a cheaper set, but I can't always afford a UCS set, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those middle ground sets are really important to me. But, I'm conflicted because it is nicer that you can get, like, everybody talks about how you can buy an X-Wing and a TIE Fighter for, like, basically $100 or something like that. I mean, and that's amazing. I mean,
I think that's the best part is if you're going to buy them together, I mean, you can get two for what, I think that one's $40 and one's $50.
Yeah,
you get both for the price of what would usually be one X-Wing. or
right,
like the Sith TIE fighter or something.
You wanted to buy one X-wing and you wanted to have 2 or 3 TIE fighters and have a dogfight. Now, I mean, it would be kind of expensive to buy 3 TIE fighters and X-wing, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just cheaper, you know? So, I mean, that aspect of it, I can't dog Lego for that. That's really awesome they did that. It's just, like I said, on a selfish note, you know? So that's the way it feels. They're trying to push the 2 different audiences, younger and then older. I think the more issue is going to be for T-falls, because T-falls, in my opinion, and again, this is just my opinion. Obviously, everybody can like or not like something, but I feel like you all won't really want to buy those really cheaper sets. Maybe sometimes, you know, and logically, a lot of people might say out there, well, a T-fall, it doesn't have like a job like I do, so maybe buying those cheaper sets would be good. And that could be the case sometimes, but it just feels like you would want something a little bit more expensive to reach for, you know what I mean? Not UCS, but, you know, like the $80 X-Wing or the $70 X-Wing, or, you know, or somewhere even in the $100. It's just, I don't know. It's a really complex thing to talk about because there is a lot of different avenues to go into, and I don't even know if there's a right or a wrong answer to it, because there's that good side. Like I said, you're making affordable, not +4, you know what I mean, but still an affordable, because they don't look horrible.
No, I think that they definitely don't look like pristine. Like, one thing that just bugs me about the new X-Wing that is my perfect example of the downgraded, what I think is the quality of the set, is, you know, the very front, how in the old one they had that nice, like, curved front of the X-Wing, and now it's like those little pieces, snot technique, and they're like angles. I don't like that at all. I don't think it looks good at all.
Yeah, so. And, you know, Lego's very complex to begin with. I mean, a lot of us, older and younger, we all have debates and discussions about the standard. And what I mean by that is, normally there used to be like the price to piece count, you know what I mean? But that even so, for someone like me that likes to lean on that, I know easily that is not accurate. You know, that's just a generalization. And even then, sometimes it's a very rough generalization, because when I look at sets, I do like the piece count. I like to try and, you know, have somewhat of a comparison, but I also know certain molds, certain printed pieces, you know what I mean? I take that consideration, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a complex thing to try and figure out anyways, because Lego doesn't have kind of any rhyme or reason. And I even researched a lot of stuff to try and get a better understanding, because I like to have knowledge when I go into arguments or debates about things, or if I have an, you know, opinion that might differ from some others. And it turns out, yeah, they have to pay tens to 20s to hundreds, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to create new molds.
Yeah.
For these pieces, and that's not cheap. Now, granted, yes, they can use some molds and then reuse them, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Lego's a weird company, man. I love them to death. Obviously, I spend thousands of dollars on their stuff.
Yeah.
But they are so weird sometimes with their policies, the way they handle situations, what they do with their fans. I don't know. It's just very odd.
I'm very I'm in the same boat. I love the product, but the company, I see the way, like, the certain sets they make that, quote unquote, nobody asks for. It's like, I see all these memes about the Luke's land speeder, and I'm sure I know your opinion on the Luke's land speeders by now. There's like 5 in the past 2 years.
Yeah, and look, that's one of those things that I know they're going to make them on a regular. I get that. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of glad they do make them on a somewhat regular. I don't want to do it too much, but like, I bought the last land speeder that came out because I had missed the ones before. I just didn't get them for whatever reason, and I definitely want one. But it's just like with everything else. I mean, and it would help if they would just spread out into like the Clone Wars more.
Oh yeah.
Or they just branch out a little bit, and I know they get scared, you know, to do different stuff, and I understand that, man. But
Yeah,
I
but then
think
take one look at YouTube and Instagram and your fan base, and they'll know, hey, maybe we should make like 15 sets with Ahsoka, and and they'll sell like hotcakes. Maybe we should make like 4 more 501st battle packs of different sizes and different figures.
It's crazy because I mean, I'm never shy about my age. I mean, I'm 43 years old, so I grew up with the original trilogy. I mean, the original Star Wars came out the year I was born, so I grew up with the original trilogy. Now I was excited like crazy when the prequels came out because we were like, oh my gosh, more Star Wars! Like we were so happy, and I didn't hate the prequels like a lot of people do. I think they were great for what they were. I think there was a lot of good underlining things in it, but then the sequels that come out, and then of course in between all that stuff we have the Clone Wars that come out. You know what I mean? And I feel really bad for a lot of all the younger. The younger fans out there, because I don't think, yes, we've gotten Clone Wars sets, and yes, you've gotten prequel sets and other stuff, you know what I mean? But I just don't feel like all of you all have gotten the service that you really deserve. I mean, because the original trilogy, that is a monumental set of movies. They hold a special place in my heart. You know what I mean? They have their purpose. They kickstarted everything. But these other movies are beautiful and great in their own right, man. And I just don't think that they're giving enough service to a lot of the Lego sets. I mean, now finally, I guess we're getting the UCS, gunship. So that's really awesome. But
Definitely. Hey, Jedi Bob, if they don't include Jedi Bob, I might have problems.
And then thanks to Ryan and everybody that rallied with Ryan, we got the 501st, and we've got Ahsoka again. You know what I mean? So they've given us a little bit. You know what I mean? But just not like another X-wing and TIE fighter.
Yeah, I know.
Like, come on, dude.
I get what you're saying about Star Wars and the service to us. I mean, I haven't really thought about that before, but I guess when I go and watch Star Wars movies, or I go on the TV and decide, okay, which Star Wars movie am I going to watch today? Now, don't hate on me for this, because I like The Last Jedi. I like it. That's probably my go-to Star Wars movie if it's on the TV. I just enjoy it. So, I mean, it's just
the sequels.
I'll usually go to the sequels.
Yeah, I don't hate on them as much as a lot of other people do. I have my problems with them, but it's not really individual. I mean, there are individual things, but it's more of the whole timeline of stuff that they got wrong.
And it's not as much Star Wars itself. It's Disney. If you're gonna dislike it, you can't dislike the actors who just did what they were paid to do. You can't I guess you could dislike the directors. I think specifically J.J. Abrams, if you're going to dislike one. But I think that Disney was just the overall problem. It just they had a story, someone changed the story, and they decided, we're just not going to count that, and we're going to continue with what we were originally doing. And that's not how you write a story.
Think of it like this. Those are 3 movies, okay? Kevin Feige, look what he's done with the MCU. You know what I mean? Like, now granted, it's not to say there's no bad Marvel movies or not everything's perfect, but like that whole structure from movie after movie after movie for a decade, you know what I mean, has a pretty coherent constructed timeline of things. I mean, it's amazing what they did.
It's
even
insane.
Like spin-off stuff has been slightly tied. They've been able to tie stuff into it. Now, if they could do that, you'd think that they would have been able to just make the trilogies in sync. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have cared about Rian Johnson directing The Last Jedi. And if there was just some better explanations or some backstory or even just some follow-up to certain things, I think a lot of people would have been able to been okay with it. Because I joke around with people all the time, like, even the original trilogies and the prequel, like, there's a lot of stuff.
They all have mistakes.
Right, plot holes or...
Yeah.
I mean, even some of the pettiest things, like, check this out. Some of the silliest stuff. So in the prequels, they always talk about how the Jedi were the guardians of peace and everything throughout the galaxy for 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. Okay? 1,000 years, right? But in A New Hope, when Luke first meets Obi-Wan, he said it's for 1,000 generations. Now, I know it sounds silly, man, but I'm telling you, 1,000 years and 1,000 generations is two totally different things, man. That's an extremely
That's very different. That's like 10,000 years.
That's George Lucas. You know what I mean? That's his own stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Ryan Johnson messed up his George Lucas stuff. I mean, it was George Lucas. You know what I mean? So I'm not so serious that I can't look past some mistakes and stuff. But yeah, it was just the overall. And of course, my biggest beef that I always tell people is I was a huge Knights of Ren fan. I really wanted to see something great with the Knights of Ren, and I didn't really get that.
At least you got the $50 minifigures.
I bought the fucking pops.
Yeah, you're gonna get the Knights of Ren transport ship. You can't even put any minifigures inside just to get those 2 figures. I mean, come on.
What are you gonna do, right?
They were kind of wasted, but the last movie was not my favorite. It definitely, and just like The Last Jedi, it has problems, but the analogy I use is it's like you have a pizza, and it's split into eight slices, right? And you got 2 slices that are like covered in pineapple and they're poisoned, and it's like. See, you could eat the other 6 slices and be fine because there's nothing wrong with them. But the whole pizza is tainted now. And that's the problem with the sequel movies. And any Star Wars movie, if you really look at it, is just tainted by small bad things that people didn't like.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed The Force Awakens. That was my favorite out of the 3. I really thought it was great. I was, I was happy to see a new Star Wars movie. And I'm going to be excited again. And no matter what, even with the Rise of Skywalker, I mean, there's probably a billion things I could sit here and tell you that I was like, no, that's not really right. That's not really right. But it's still a wonderful thing to watch. It was still eye candy at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
And I got emotional a couple scenes, you know what I mean? And one of the biggest reasons is because even if I didn't agree with the way a lot of the movie was, man, it was still the conclusion to the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
It felt like a big deal, even if I didn't agree with how some of it went, So, I mean, I think that, as much as I can rant about stuff sometimes, I think, for myself or a lot of other people, it's like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's still a fun movie to watch. I still had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a good time watching it. I think that it probably means, and I'm sure of this, it means a lot more to you to see that movie than it would to me. I didn't grow up watching Star Wars and anticipating the next movie. The first movie I saw, well, it would be a lie to say Force Awakens was the first one I saw in theaters, and that may not make sense at first, but that's because on my, I don't remember what birthday it was, but they re-released Phantom Menace in theaters. Phantom Menace has always meant a lot to me, because I saw it in theaters, and it's the re-release with the special effects, the CGI re-release. Okay. So I watched it, and that was the first Star Wars. It wasn't the first Star Wars I saw, but it was definitely the first one I saw in theaters. And I saw it with all my friends, and it was a great time. And
yeah, and I love the pod racer.
The pod racer, I mean, it has its flaws. Cough, cough, Jar Jar Binks. But it's still just a fun movie. And that's all Star Wars really is. Star Wars, people complain about, like, the comedy in Star Wars. Star Wars has always had this, not slapstick comedy, but this kind of sarcastic comedy. Since, like, A New Hope, you have Han Solo, one of the most comedic characters, I think, in a franchise. Almost every line he says is some sarcastically funny comment.
Right.
And then I don't know. I think they all have an importance.
Is if I'm not mistaken, I think it's been called, like, a space opera. But it's its own type of thing. it's action, it's adventure. You know, you're right. It's got like the slapstick comedy in it. But it's even got like a little bit of cheese throughout
Oh yeah,
movie.
definitely.
Because, look, you don't go watch like Tenet and then watch like Star Wars and like compare. You know what I mean?
Oh gosh, no.
The level of integrity of the movie. You know what I mean? Like that's not what you do. Like that's why movies are different for different reasons.
Yes.
Like you know. Like my wife, she loves the Star Wars movies. Like she absolutely is enthralled by them, man. Like she loves Mandalorian. She, you know, she's getting ready to start watching the Clone Wars and Rebels. You know what I mean? Like, but she also loves her romantic comedy movies. And like, I can watch a few of them here and there, man. But like, I can't really get into them, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just, but yeah, Star Wars is a specific type of movie, and that's why. Yes, I can make some complaints, and yes, I can rant sometimes. You know, like just how I do. But you know, again, it's why it's not supposed to be taken that seriously. You know what I mean?
It's just a good time. It's just sitting down, having a good time, watching them fly around the Millennium Falcon and I don't know, blow up TIE fighters and stuff. It's all fake stuff, anyways. It's space battles. Right. It's Darth Vader blowing up planets and a Death Star. It's
not going to stop me from buying the toys.
Yeah. It's not to be taken seriously. But I mean, it's just, and people do the same thing with every franchise. Marvel, DC. It's just, you just got to enjoy it for what it is.
DC is another one. It's like.
They've made their mistakes, Justice League.
Others, yeah, you know what I mean? But, like, they're just still entertaining movies to watch. You know what I mean? Like,
I can sit down and watch any of them any day, whether it's I'm going to laugh with them or at them. I can sit down and have a good time watching a Batman movie.
Exactly.
But, yeah. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today, but thank you all so much for watching this latest episode. Make sure to go check out Brick Hive. Like I said, his YouTube and Instagram are linked down in the description, so you can go check both of those out. And thank you all so much for watching. I've said this in my previous videos, but just keep in mind that I know my schedule is a little bit off. These aren't as weekly or bi-weekly anymore because they're... obviously, I'm still in school, and I've got to put that priority over this, but just make sure that you check here on YouTube or Instagram from time to time, because they will be coming up intermittently. So, thank you all so much, and have a great day and a wonderful week. Zbricks out.